Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you know this global shift to electric cars? Well, it's not just a simple switchover. It's a full-blown high-stakes race. We're talking a battle for tech, for economic power, and even geopolitical dominance. Some countries are just flying, hitting ludicrous speed, while others, well, they seem to be stuck in first gear. All right, let's jump in and see who's really in the driver's seat.
And that really gets us to the heart of it, doesn't it? That's the big question we're tackling today. How on earth is one country at 90% electric for new cars, while almost everyone else is lagging so far behind? The answer, as you'll see, is this incredible mix of government policy, national culture, and sometimes just plain old necessity.
Okay, first things first. Let's meet the drivers who have just pulled way ahead of everybody else. And trust me, you might be a little surprised by who's leading this charge.
I mean, just look at this number, 90%. It's absolutely staggering. So how'd they do it? For years, Norway has been running this super aggressive playbook. They used taxes to make gasoline cars incredibly expensive, and at the same time, they rolled out the red carpet for EVs with huge perks. Think free parking, no tolls, even access to bus lanes. They've really set the gold standard for what pure political will can actually achieve.
Now let's talk about the heavyweight champion in the room, China. Here's the thing, it's not just the biggest market for EVs, it's also the biggest producer. The government there had this master plan to control the entire process, and I mean everything, from the mines pulling lithium out of the ground, to the factories building the batteries, to the plants assembling the final cars. It's this strategy that has made EVs affordable for millions of people.
But you know, this race isn't just about the superpowers. It's got some really unexpected contenders. Meet the dark horse, Ethiopia. Get this, they recently just banned all imports of gas and diesel cars. Now, why would they do that? It's not just about the environment. For them, it's about economic survival. The country has tons of cheap hydroelectric power, but it spends billions importing foreign oil. So for Ethiopia, going electric is just a super pragmatic move towards energy independence.
But of course, this race is anything but a straight shot to the finish line. Nope. Every single country, even the leaders we just talked about, is facing a whole series of roadblocks and mandatory pit stops. It's really more of an obstacle course than a simple sprint.
To really get a handle on these hurdles, you have to look at the forces at play. It's like a giant tug-of-war. On one side, you've got these push factors, things like government subsidies making EVs cheaper or a country's desire to be energy independent. But pulling hard in the other direction are the resistance factors. And these are big ones, the high sticker price of EVs, not enough charging stations, and sometimes just the powerful desire to protect the old-school auto industry.
And then there's something you just can't ignore: culture. In places like Germany and Italy, the combustion engine isn't just a machine. It's a huge part of their cultural identity, a symbol of engineering pride. Now compare that to the Nordic countries, where people generally have a really high level of trust in their governments and long-term goals. And then you've got the leapfroggers, nations that are basically skipping the whole gas-powered era, kind of like how they skipped landline phones and went straight to mobile.
Okay, but just when we think we've got the race figured out, boom, a massive plot twist. According to S&P Global, a perfect storm of factors is hitting the brakes on this whole transition. For the very first time, EV adoption is actually contracting, shrinking, in every single major region. The race just got a whole lot harder for everyone.
So what's going on here? What's causing this global slowdown? Well, it's a mix of some serious headwinds. We're seeing a lot of political and economic uncertainty, and that's really shaking consumer confidence. At the same time, the West is starting to put up walls against the flood of affordable Chinese EVs. And maybe most importantly, car manufacturers themselves are really struggling with how expensive and, for now, unprofitable these vehicles are to make.
And this slowdown really shines a spotlight on the main event. It zooms us right in on this intense geopolitical fight for supremacy between the three economic heavyweights: China, the United States, and the European Union.
This chart right here, wow. It tells you pretty much everything you need to know about where the real power is. The battery is the absolute heart of an EV, and China produces a jaw-dropping 75% of them. They control the whole pipeline, and that gives them enormous leverage over the entire global market. So if we look at the market today, China is the clear, undisputed leader. Europe is sitting in a distant second place, with the US in third. But, and this is a really big but, the US is starting to hit the accelerator and is picking up speed fast. Let's look at how. And this is where you can see the huge difference in strategy. Team USA's game plan is called the Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA. It's a really aggressive, almost protectionist strategy.
It basically says, hey, we'll give you huge subsidies, but only if you build the cars and the batteries right here in North America. Meanwhile, Team EU has a much more complicated, fragmented approach. It doesn't really have a single, unified response, which leaves it in a tough spot, trying to compete for investment against both the US and China.
This quote here from Julia Poliskanova really just says it all for Europe. She says, "We are completely lagging behind on cost, on technology, as well as supply chain preparedness." I mean, that is a really stark warning about just how big the challenge is that the EU is facing right now.
So, as we head into the next lap of this incredibly complicated race, what's the playbook? What's it going to take for any of these major players to even get a spot on the podium, let alone win?
Well, the path forward seems to boil down to 3 crucial steps. First, you have to innovate or you will lose. The only way to win is to develop new technology that brings those costs way down. Second, you've got to localize your supply chains. That means reducing your dependence on any one country for those critical raw materials. And third, and this is the big one, you need to implement clear, stable policies that give companies the confidence to make these huge, long-term investments.
And that brings us to our final question. As this great EV race continues to unfold, what's ultimately going to decide the winner? Is it going to be the nation with the most cutting-edge technology, the one that controls all the natural resources, or will it come down to the country with the strongest, most unwavering political will? I guess only time will tell. Thank you so much for listening.